All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca, and I'm with Madison, Sue, and Cami. And we are going to be talking about what we loved and what we would change about our technology class. So I'm going to share my screen. And first, we are going to start with this fun video that we thought everyone would enjoy. Let me turn it up.
That face that is
Sorry about
usually
the
covered by her
ad.
phone has finally made an appearance. That face wouldn't be doing that if you weren't staying at a Verbo Lake house.
Now let's see if we can't figure out what you are, my little friend. Where you come from.
I saw part of the message.
I seem to have found it.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. Our full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're
All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me make sure it doesn't start again. Okay. Let me full screen. Can you guys all see my screen good? Okay. So I'm first going to talk about what I loved about this class. And first of all, obviously, I loved the memes. I thought it was a very great way to start the class on a high note. And I felt like I've never had a teacher do that before. So I felt like it was very, it made Bropa seem very personable. And I feel like you don't normally think of teachers as enjoying memes. I'm sure they do, but you just don't see it. So it was really fun to have that atmosphere every single day. He never missed a day. So I thought that was great. And I also liked how we talked about a very broad range of topics that we could all relate to. I think at first, when we first started talking about these things, I was like, how does this relate to technology? But I do feel like everything we learned about was very important, something that each of us needed to learn, like for ourselves and also as teachers to be able to help our future students as well. So I really like that. And I guess I already kind of talked about this, but I also appreciated how passionate and knowledgeable Bropa was about everything he talked about. I felt like I always had gained this huge insight from something he said, like every single class. He never failed to deliver that. And there's always something that stuck with me and that I would think about. So I really like that because I feel like a lot of my classes don't always have that. I don't mean to downplay my classes, they're great, but I did like that about this class. And I also liked that we had the chance to explore a lot of different ed tech tools, like with the projects, but also with the spotlights we had. I thought it was fun that every single person shared a different spotlight. So, I mean, there were obviously a lot of ed tech tools we didn't cover. So that was a way that we could cover more. And then I guess I kind of said this 3 times, but I like that Bropa made his class a comfortable environment for everyone. Even I felt like he did a really good job through Zoom as well. I guess I wasn't always on Zoom, but I felt like he tried to connect with people in the class and on Zoom, and it made it enjoyable for me at least. And then I found the Zoom channel super helpful as well. I'm the kind of person that doesn't always ask questions. I don't know why. I'm just like, oh, I'll just figure it out on my own. But I felt like I was able to do that more with the Zoom channel. And I liked someone else would ask a question. I'd be like, oh yeah, that'd be good to know. So I really liked that. And I felt like it also connected everyone as well. And so with that, I looked at some of the data from the surveys, and I liked the community data that we found. I thought it was really interesting that a majority of the class was 3 or higher. I know it looks kind of high, but I think the 2s, I think it was only like one person that was actually a 2. And it was interesting to me that everyone was a 3 or higher because most people were on Zoom. So it showed me that Bropa was doing a very good job, like I said earlier, of just connecting with every single student as best as he could, given the circumstances that we were in. And it was nice that students were able to recognize that as well and recognize the effort that he was putting in. And then this was the Zoom chat data. And I also found that a majority of the students were a 4 and a 5. That's the rating that they gave it. I know some people would get annoyed by the constant notifications they got from it, but it seems like while there's some people, that were a little lower, it seems like a majority of the class did find it very helpful. And it's something that I wish all my other teachers did as well. So those are what I loved about it. Did anyone have anything they wanted to add to what I said, or? It's okay.
I was going to add that when you said that you didn't think that we were going to talk a lot about ed tech tools, I think that's what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when I joined the class, I thought, oh, we're just going to learn how to like use smart boards and just like do like feature stuff, I guess, with like how to use like a smart board or like I don't know, whatever a teacher does with a computer. I didn't think we were going to talk about like educational websites and educational tools that we can use online. Like I said, I thought we were going to be talking about whiteboards and computers and how to do that.
Yeah,
it was really helpful to talk about ed tech tools.
That's kind of what I thought that we would do too, but it's like really cool to see how much we've learned from different like programs we can use, and they may not be like something we can use when we're in the classroom, but like we learned how to learn about the different programs, and that's super important too, and that's something that we can take with us, and it'll be awesome to be able to use in our own classrooms.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's something I remember him saying earlier. What was it, that we're not always going to have all these tools to use? I mean, new ones are going to replace it, but it was more about learning how to use, or learning how to learn. Is that how we put it? Learning how to use them. Yeah, learning how to learn. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. But so that was,
It was also nice to learn how to find proper ratings for ed tech tools. Since we were learning about ed tech tools, it was good that we also learned how to find good ratings and choose good ed tech tools for our students and our teacher classrooms. That way we weren't going in blind. I liked that a lot. We took like a day or something to talk.
Yeah, I remember there was one
about that, but it was still good, like talking about pick rat.
Yeah, there's one time like Robot talk about like they give feedbacks for people, like they share their ed tech tools. Some of them are not as effective than the other. So like he talks about like Khan Academies a lot, because that's a tool that majority of people are using for academic, like having tutors, or if they have problems they can go on the app. But like there are some tools that are only for like making like videos to interact with students. Some of them are not that good, but Bropa will still give us feedbacks on like what are the effective tools that we can use as a future teacher. So
yeah.
I really appreciated how in those ratings it also told us like the security rating, because that's something you don't really think about, but then when you look at it, you're like, oh, like obviously you don't want your students' data to be at risk. So when it gives you those numbers and how that's like how much risk you're at, that's really helpful too.
Yeah, that's definitely something I didn't know that existed, but it makes sense that it would. But I think it's really good to have that, especially because you don't want to get in trouble yourselves by being like, oh, that's a cool app, and then it being something that is not at all that you expected. So I think that's definitely a really good feature to have with that, for sure.
one more thing about the ratings thing. I also liked how Bropa had told us, like, don't focus on the 1 and 2 stars on the 5 stars. You want to focus on the 3 and 4 stars, because those are the people who are going to tell you, like, this is a good app, but this needs to be fixed. It's a good app, but this is something that's along those lines, you know?
Yeah.
It was able to give me something else to think about in a way. When looking at apps, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, this is a great app, but whatever. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but I thought that that was really cool too that he said that. Okay, so now I'll go on to what I would change. And we kind of talked about this before, but I really did enjoy this class. So it was kind of hard for me to, I feel like I was being really picky when I did this. But sorry, I'm going to try and move my screen real quick. Okay, so I don't know about you. Maybe this is dumb of me to say, but I did feel like doing a project every single week, like I enjoyed using these tools, but sometimes with other things I had to do, it kind of became hard to do one every single week. Like I was able to do it, but I thought that maybe it would be better to do one like every other week, but he could still talk about the tool and kind of go through it with us so that we'd still be learning about it.
It like felt a
But
little tiring.
yeah, like when he told me or when he told us at the beginning of the semester every single week, I was like, what have I signed myself up for?
It's almost like one of those things that you kind of rush through at that point too. Like there's some weeks
Yeah,
you're like, oh my gosh, I have like a million assignments due. I have so much going on. I'm just gonna get this project done. And you don't really take the time to like play around with it and learn
yeah,
like how to use it.
yeah.
There were some projects where I was like, oh, this is a cool project, you know, I'll take my time on it. But then there were others where I'm like, I have other things to do. I have other things I need to focus on. And like
Mhm.
the projects weren't that, like for me, I personally like them. I don't mind them being every week, but at the same time, I see where you're coming from. Because I like feel the exhaustion after a while and I'm like, oh, another project, another week, you
Uh-huh.
know?
Yeah. And I did, I think it's interesting because when I was looking at the data, because sometimes you just kind of go through the motions, a lot of them said that they didn't see any point to the social media project. And I feel like that was a problem with the couple that I came to. I was like that. And I think like the very first one, the gamification project, I was like, I didn't really see the relevance to it. So I think it was hard for me to want to do it because I was like, okay, just do it, get it done. But I think maybe those were a couple ones that I would take out. And I guess I'm curious what you guys think. Like, if he were to not do a project every single week, do you think you would still get a lot out of it if he were to just explain, like on a week that say we didn't have a project, if you were to just explain it and like how you would use it, do you think it would have been as useful if we didn't actually do it ourselves?
Like I said before, I didn't mind the weekly projects because I personally got a lot out of it because usually the lesson either associated with it in some way or like, I don't know, it just helped me. But there were definitely some projects that we could probably get rid of or make them better, like the social media project. It just felt too easy. And yes, we were just learning about positive gossip and stuff and being positive on the internet, but maybe I hate to say this, but maybe make it a little harder because I felt like a lot of people rushed at the end. Like I'm no exception. I definitely did it last minute and I was like doing everything last minute for that project. So yeah.
Yeah, I was one of those people that's like tweeted 3 different things within a few hours. I think that there's ways that we could definitely maybe have him like he could improve that project or make
Yeah.
it like a requirement that the tweets or the messages are all on a different day, and that like keeps people from rushing through it and like more like really thinking about it because they have to like purposely search for something every day instead of just, oh my gosh, like I need something, what can I find to tweet about?
Yeah, you could give them like on Tuesday, you tweet about this. On Thursday, tweet about this. And Friday or Saturday, tweet about this. And it has to be, you know, you have to turn in your link ahead of time so that your TA or whatever can see it. I don't know. But I like that idea, Cami.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they can also like give us a topic so we know like what topic we can talk about, like, you know, on Twitter, not just like random thoughts or like share about the gospel or like something random. It's not like really meaningful because we are just gonna get the things done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I literally went to my Pinterest account, went to my quotes board and just chose some positive things from there. Like they were good quotes. Like I think I did a Jane Goodall quote and a quote from what's it called? A League of Their Own, a baseball quote. So yeah.
The project itself was kind of interesting because like we've talked a lot about how like you can't really mix obviously like religion into school and stuff, but we were also being encouraged to like use quotes from like prophets and stuff, and that's just not something we can really use in the future like as an educator. So I think maybe if they're like more education centered or motivational sort of centered, that would help too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, thanks for all that. I appreciate that. So then the next one was, this is maybe dumb of me too, I don't know. But I just found it a little frustrating when he kept adding things to the spotlights, because like the people that went at the very beginning of the semester had to talk about their spotlight and that's it. And then like by the time I went, I had to do the pick rat, talk about it, do the ratings, all this stuff. And so I was like, I just didn't necessarily feel like it was, I don't mean to say fair, but it wasn't equal, I guess, with everyone because some people were doing more than others. I know that I understand that like he wanted to add things into it as we learned about it, but I think he maybe went a little too far with it because I feel like he added things like 2 or 3 times and I was like, oh, there's more. So I think that's something I didn't like as much. I just found it a little frustrating, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel like every time I'll have like, I will panic about it. He's gonna pick me, and I didn't know like what to do. Like, okay, triple E. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I will use it in my like future classroom. What do you want me to do? Like,
I was
too
fortunate enough to be
overwhelming.
one of those people that got to do it in the beginning with the changed
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, but I definitely agree. It was frustrating when he decided to change it, not change it, but add on to it. And I understand that he said the reason why was to help us with the Play Posit project. But at the same time, it was frustrating to find out that it was changed. And yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like from what you just talked about, there are some like projects are not as meaningful as I thought it would be. Like, I don't know, like we do all the projects, they are pretty good and we learn something, but I just don't know the purpose of doing those projects. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like with the whole ed tech tools stuff, spotlight stuff, it's just the stuff that he added on. It makes it feel like a mouthful, and it makes it feel like a lot. Like you have to. He all of a sudden added on pick rat and ratings and triple E and how would you use this in the classroom? It just felt like a lot once he added it. Like, oh my gosh, that's so much I have to talk about now. Like,
Right.
you know.
And
Yeah,
then just even remembering it all.
Yeah, that's true. I know people are like, wait, what do we do? Yeah, and I feel like these were supposed to be beneficial, but in the end, they just ended up being a little more frustrating because of all that stuff we had to remember and add. So I would maybe change that a bit. But and then my last thing was on the oral exams. So I like the discussion that came from them. And like I found it interesting, but I kind of felt like a lot of them didn't necessarily connect with what we were learning in class. And like I do really feel like they had a lot of interesting insights and stuff that I took a lot away from. So I liked that. And so I did like the readings, but I wish that they would have connected more to what we were actually learning. And so I just did a little data from that. And most people thought that they were very useful. Like there was no one below 3. There were only 4 people at 3. So 17 people gave it a 4, 22 people gave it a 5. And a majority of the class would keep them because a lot of them said the same thing, that they felt like they were very insightful and that they learned a lot from them. But I did notice when I was looking at the comments that I kind of put it here. I put some of them that kind of what I was saying, like this one, they didn't feel like it helped them become a better teacher with technology. And they said that they thought it would make more sense for the readings to go along with what we were actually learning about. And like this one, they thought they were a bit scattered. So though that's, I feel like the biggest thing I would change is, I know some of the readings did incorporate well, but I felt like, at least me personally, it seemed like a lot of them didn't necessarily go with what we were learning about. So I think that's maybe something I would change a little bit. But other than that, I did enjoy the readings. I thought they were really good. So yeah, that's what I would change with that. So if no one has anything else they want to add, we can go on to the next person. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, I can start sharing my slides. Oh. Wait. Where should I? Oh. Can you guys see?
Yeah, you can go to present up at the top right corner too.
Oh, here. Okay. So, the things I love about this class is first thing is our exam. I feel like our exam helped me to be more engaged in the assigned readings we reach each week, and then I'm like more accountable to my own learning in this class, and from the oral exams, I feel like there are a lot of discussions and different insights I can learn from the classmates. Like, because I'm the kind of person, I usually don't share my thoughts in the class, and I usually do it on Zoom. So being able to hear other people's thoughts and insights from the readings has really helped me to really learn something. And I feel like the classmates are the teacher for me each week. So they help me to think a little bit more about the readings and what are something that I can think in like a different perspective. And then for the memes, of course they are great, and I feel like memes are not just memes; they help with creating the culture in the classroom. So everyone they got into the class, they knew that Bropa is gonna share memes with us, and I feel like that also create like a really safe and fun environment in the class. So everyone wants to be in the class. And then the third one is I found lab hours and Zoom channels. They were pretty helpful. And I'm so glad that we have the lab hours each week. So if we have problems with our projects or any questions that we have concerns in the class, then we can be able to have a way to reach out to Bropa or even the TAs. And the same for the Zoom channel. I think that's like a really big thing for the class, because it's a really smart idea to create a Zoom channel so we can be able to have their interactions with our classmate. And like they probably have like different opinions than us. So yeah, I love the interactions from the Zoom channels a lot. And then for the group presentation, I have heard a lot of bad feedbacks about group projects from my friends. They say like, group project sucks and like they don't really like to do group projects. And for this class, this is my first time doing group projects. And I was a little bit nervous about doing group projects because I usually like, just do my own assignment, and that's never a thing for me to do. So I was kind of scared at first, but I got good teammates, so I'm really appreciate like this class. And like everyone, it's so easy to talk to, and we get things done, and we have like the same feelings about the class. And like sometimes we will just talk about, oh, it's too much for us sometimes, but yeah, it's like really good to have the groups. So whenever you have questions, you can just text them. Like they don't get annoyed for it because like we probably have the same questions too. So I really love the group presentation for sure. And I love it how Bropa put us into groups so we can be able to know each other more, and we are not afraid to, ask questions to each others. And then I personally really like the Nearpod lesson. I really enjoyed doing this project. I have never designed a lesson before. So that was pretty new, but also pretty fun to be able to do that. I did a Chinese lesson for this project. So because I want to teach Chinese immersion program, So that's the first time I tried to design a Chinese lesson. And I found it really interesting because I didn't know that we have like an online app that we can be able to put interactions and interact with the students. So I really like this project. Our project is good too, but Nearpod and PlayPosit, I feel like I will choose Nearpod more than PlayPosit because I feel like it's more simple for me to use. And yeah, like PlayPosit is just too complicated. Like it's a lot. So like for like being a teacher, I feel like Nearpod will be like the best choice for me to like interact with students, and the student won't get confused about what I'm doing in that lesson. So yeah, that's what I loved about this class.
Can I just add something real quick?
Anything you want to
Sorry.
add?
Yeah, so I like when you talked about the group presentations, I definitely feel like it helped me a lot this semester as well, more than any group has ever helped me. And I feel like even though I hate group presentations, I really liked how we did it each week and that the group explained the project, because I feel like it was different having someone explain it and show us than just having to read it on the modules thing on the actual assignment. At least it really helped me when I was able to see those examples and have a group actually explain it to me like face to face like that, because I feel like I definitely understood it a lot better what I needed to do with that. So I actually really enjoyed that. And I didn't think I would, but I did.
Yeah, I think Bropa is really smart because I feel like he is the one should teach us how to do the projects. But instead of he teaching us, it's more like us like teaching the whole class. So that also like help us to practice to know how to teach in a class. So yeah, I really like that part. And then the things that I would change about the class, I think we just talked about it, the social media project. I still don't understand how I can use social media more meaningful as an educator. It was an easy project, but I don't know the reason why we need to do this project. And like my question is like, what's the purpose of this project? I still don't know, like until now. Like I don't know, like why do I need a Twitter? I never had a Twitter before. And like sometimes I will like see like Buropa tweeted some like post, but I never really open it and or look at it. So I feel bad, but I'm being honest. I never really look at my Twitter. So yeah, like
That project, I now have 2 Twitter accounts. One's like a serious Twitter account with serious people, and then my other Twitter account is the original Twitter account I have. And it's like all like the famous actors that I follow, and it's like I love Marvel, so I followed like Marvel Studios, and I followed like a lot of like tweets about my favorite actors. So like now I have 2 separate Twitter accounts. I'm not complaining, but like
yeah, it's just like I just don't understand why are we doing that.
Yeah.
Like
On top of kind of what you said is like Twitter and LinkedIn, like they're kind of like, I mean, they're not really social media platforms that we use. And I don't think they're social media platforms, since we didn't grow up using them, that we'll continue to use. So like if we were to continue to do the social media project, maybe even just pick a different social media platform, because like I don't really open my Twitter, I don't really open my LinkedIn. It's just kind of there for like school purposes.
yeah, I honestly didn't even know what LinkedIn was until we started that project. And then I did it, and I'm like, I'm still confused. Like, I still don't know how to work LinkedIn very well, and I still don't understand quite what it is. I still don't quite understand what it is, but I definitely don't use LinkedIn as much as I use Twitter. I use Twitter more than I use LinkedIn, and even Twitter is for like silly things, like, you know, stuff that I like. So yeah.
so like if you guys can choose to change the social media project, will you just not doing social media project, or you would choose another like social media for the students to use?
I would probably choose maybe like Facebook, because I feel like Facebook is less how do I say this? I don't know, like Twitter and Instagram I feel are more like, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but like
They
they're
seem
more
like for older kids, maybe.
yeah, like I feel like
Maybe.
family members, and they
Maybe
probably
that's
like
right.
wouldn't mind a little positivity in their day, you know? So you could use like Facebook and be like, if you have a Facebook, great, but you know, make it more appropriate, make it more professional looking, but also post 3 positive things throughout the week on this day, this day, this day, you know? I don't mind using my Twitter, but we could definitely substitute LinkedIn for Facebook because I don't know how many people use LinkedIn. Maybe more people use LinkedIn than I thought, but I feel like personally I won't end up using it. So
I feel like it's more for
And if
people in career jobs
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Yeah.
I know my dad uses it and like he found a job through that, but I feel like for us and like especially like if we're teaching younger kids, like they're not gonna need a LinkedIn. So
this
yeah.
could also be a generational thing. Not, not calling bro old. Like I don't think our generation is going to be using LinkedIn a lot, or at least like our class. I know for sure I'm not going to end up using LinkedIn. Maybe I will, but I don't think so because I'm with you. It's more for career-based things or like corporations or big businesses, you know? Like I found my parents' business, not like their personal business, but like their bosses, you know, for grocery outlet, the company, and they own a grocery store. And so I found that company on there and I followed it because it's where I used to work, but still like it's just I don't think it's for educational. Like I don't think they have educational things on there.
So I think it would be interesting, like for this project, if you still wanted to do something with social media, kind of teach us more like how to make like a Facebook group on Facebook, or we can do like a classroom group, or like teachers now, a lot of them have Instagram pages that are just private with their parents. But then with that, kind of teaching us about like what are like the limitations, like what could we get in trouble for posting, what's okay to post, like what are the rules about posting on social media with like your classroom and stuff, because my mom like was a teacher and there's a lot of rules that like kind of wrap around that and that are really hard to understand, and like that's something you probably don't want to just learn as you go because you could get yourself in trouble for that.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
a good
agree.
one, yeah.
I totally agree.
I would have liked that lesson a lot better than the social media project that we did this semester.
Oh yeah, the
And-
social media project just
Maybe we should have combined this one with the digital citizenship one we did then. And
Oh.
just made that one big.
That would be good. Yeah. Then you could like post what you made.
Yeah. That's
We
okay.
did the digital.
That's a pretty smart idea. Yeah. Good feedback. So something that I will also change is the evaluation for group presentation. I don't remember the first part when did Bropa give us feedback on like group presentation, like the first groups, like I don't know. Like,
I don't know if we've gotten our.
We never got our feedback.
yeah, and he started doing like the survey stuff, and I just feel like after class I didn't even remember what they were talking about, like, and then I filled out the survey and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna win it because I did not know what they were talking about, so I'm just gonna be nice.
I was almost go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
You're good.
I was almost too worried about what to put like for my survey question responses and make sure I had all that information. Like I obviously paid attention to their presentation, but it kind of pulls away from the presentation when you're like, okay, I have these questions I need to know an answer to be able to get my participation points for the day.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think I've been filling out the survey because I always think that he's gonna send it through the Zoom chat on our Zoom, whatever, not on the Zoom channel, but like on the Zoom thingy. Or Zoom, whatever Zoom has for that day. I always think he's gonna send it through the chat and he doesn't, and then I forget.
He never reminds us. Yeah, I forgot the last two. I'm not gonna lie.
I only did it once.
Yeah, I only did it once.
I only did it once.
It's so easy to forget, and like contrary to popular belief, like elementary education is like a fast-paced moving major, and there's like so many projects and like lesson plans and stuff you have to do. So like that's the last thing that's gonna cross my mind.
Yeah. Like in my opinion, I feel like if we want to evaluate the presentation, I feel like we can do it like in the class, not like filling up survey, you know, because they just presented like in front of like everyone. So I feel like giving feedbacks like right at the moment will help with the groups.
That's a good point. I'm not gonna lie, it also frustrated me when he started this like the last 4 or 5 weeks of the semester.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of just felt like that's like, I know he acknowledged that this is something that he wanted to do the entire semester, but I think it goes back to like the spotlight thing too. He just like added things. So like some groups had to do it and some groups didn't. So I feel like it put more pressure on these later groups as well to make sure that they did a really good job.
Weren't we one of the later groups that had to go through that? Like, we had
Yeah.
to worry about the feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was a little frustrating for me.
But will you guys like want to have the evaluation after your presentation, or that's like a lot of pressure, like your peer giving you feedbacks?
I like the feedback, so I know how to like change things like for the future. But in this case, we didn't really get the feedback.
Yeah.
I don't really know what everyone else was thinking.
I think it would stress me out a little bit if I got it like immediately. Like if we give it and then all of a sudden the students are like, oh, you should have done this and this and this. I see what you're saying though. I think I like how it gives you that immediate feedback. And that, yeah, again, I do wish that we would have had that feedback, but we never did.
But you also don't want to get embarrassed in front of like the whole class.
Yeah.
It's really hard to balance. Like, I don't know, like if there's like a best way to do it. Like, I don't know. But that's the only way I can think of, just like receiving feedbacks like after the presentation from like the teacher, from Bropa, or from the classmates. Because how harsh can they be? Like, I don't think they can be that harsh. And then, so for the projects, I love the projects, but I feel like they are still a lot for 2 credits class. I feel like it's more like a 3 credits class, because we have the readings every week and also the projects every week. Like, I mean, like the projects, like weekly project, they are fine, like they are easy, but I always want to push it back later, like to do it later, you know, just to get things done. Like, I'm not doing the projects the way I should been doing it. Like, it's not as meaningful for me because I'm just rushing to finish it on time. So I don't know. I feel like we should like cut down the readings, or, you know, not doing like project each week. Maybe like twice, like once 2 weeks. Because that gives me like more time to like, I don't know, like to really well prepare for the project. And then also like I can be able to understand like the project pretty well. Because while we were talking about, I feel like some of the project needs to be get rid of, and because I don't really know the purpose of doing those projects. But if we did it like once 2 weeks, I feel like I can know that projects pretty well. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that because I kind of had the same feeling too. I thought that would have been better for me anyways. I would have felt a lot less overwhelmed, I think.
Yeah. And then another thing is for the frameworks. We learned about Pick Red and Triple E, but I'm not gonna lie, it's still like a struggle for me to identify the right frameworks for each app. And I don't know what do I use the frameworks for my future career. It's kind of confusing. Like, I know like we need to talk, like look at the details of the app, the ratings. But I just don't understand like why do we need to use Pick Red and Triple E? Yeah, what's gonna like how is those frameworks gonna help us for like as a future teacher?
I feel like maybe we should have spent more time on it because it felt like he went really fast on it, and I still don't quite understand it. So
Yeah, I wish like he can explain in more details. Like he for the triple E, I feel like he only gave us like the website, and I still don't understand the website. Like I go through it, but like I was like, I don't know. Those are just questions. Like, what do you want me to do? So what exactly triple E is? But like in the class, he only asked one question. He was like, yeah, like how would you complementing this into your future classroom? So like what's the point of knowing triple E, you know, if you can just ask that question and answer that questions for your spotlight. So yeah, those are the things I think that I would change in the class. And I pull out two data. The first one is how difficult the class is, and the ratings. Most people think like it's pretty average. It's not as difficult, but it's also not like easy. It's just like in between. Like most people say 3 or 4, and no one say 5 or 1. So it's pretty average for the difficulties of this class. And then
didn't Brokaw say he wanted to bring it to a 5 for difficulty?
yeah.
I don't like that, to be honest. I don't feel like a teacher should be shooting for a 5. I don't know. That's just my opinion, because I feel like we had a conversation about that, like with rigor and everything. So I feel like as long as people are getting a lot out of the class, I feel like a 3 or a 4 is fine. You shouldn't be like, oh dang, I wanted a 5. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if he wants to make it to a 5, then that class needs to be a 3-credit class.
Yeah, seriously.
That's true.
Eventually get to power with a 3-credit class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why would he wants to do it like move it to a 5? That's just so weird. Like it doesn't make any sense. But 3 and 4, I think like that's a good rating for this class, because this is like what you guys say, it's like a 2 credits class. If it's a 5, a lot of 5, then it should be a 3 credits class, because it will be a lot of work and we'll be struggling with our projects, that's for sure. And then the Zoom channel, I personally really like the Zoom channel. So for the rating, majority of the people really like it. And then for 31%, only, I remember this is like a percentage, but like only one person say like, I don't know if it's he or she hated the Zoom channel, but I don't know what that person is, but I feel bad for them. I don't know, for her or him. I don't know, like probably because of the notification, but Zoom channel does help with our questions and concern. So yeah, those are the things I want to talk about this class. Yeah. Does anyone has like other comments that I want to talk about, or we can move it to next person?
Okay, are we ready to move on then? Well, let me share over your screen. Maybe, let's see.
Stop share screen.
Okay, give me just a second. There we go. Okay, so at this point, pretty much everyone has talked about most of what I was going to talk about, but we're just going to cover it anyways, just for fun. So I really, really love this class, just like everyone else. I really like the projects. I think that they gave us the opportunity to really learn and experience the platforms ourselves. And for me personally, I learn a lot better doing it myself than just being shown or like lectured or talked at, instead of like having a conversation about it and doing it myself. I think that this class was sometimes a little bit challenging with how much time we had to spend on the projects, but I think that all the resources they gave us, like the lab times and him having office hours and just his willingness to meet with us, really helps us learn to succeed. And it also, I think just the projects push us to really think and learn. I also really liked the readings. A lot of them didn't really tie into what we were talking about, but they had a lot of spiritual level. And sometimes they tied into the course material, or at least had something to do with it that really made you like think a little bit more. Like when we talked about what school is, like that really just prompted a lot of thinking. And it really helped us have some really good discussions. And then of course the memes, because everyone loves the memes. I think that they make the class super relatable and really fun. And they're just such a like good lighthearted way to start off the class and just let everyone kind of get their like giggles out and talk a little bit. So this is some of the data that I pulled, and I thought it was, whoa, okay. It was interesting how these two things, give me like 2 seconds. Okay, how these two things kind of went together, because his class ratings, like even though people rated his class as kind of, like they rated his class as really good, but then they also rated it as hard, and I think that that just kind of shows that a class can be good and still be hard. And then also I got a lot of personal growth from this class. I think that in reality, it really just helped me grow as a future educator, and it taught me how to be able to take materials that may not be super relevant when I'm a teacher, but it's really teaching me how to learn from them, like learning how to learn. And then there's just a few things that I really liked that he talked about this semester. One of them was how he talked about you can change your words, and that kind of changes your mindset. His example was I made a mistake and mistakes help me improve. And that's something that like just hearing it really made me think about maybe I should work on that myself. And then reframing challenges makes all the difference. And I thought that that was a really good one too, because being on Zoom this semester has been a little bit challenging, and just like that really helped us think about how we can take those challenges and make them at least a little bit better. And then I also liked how his class felt like a community. I really liked the group work, even though I really don't like working in groups most of the time. I think we all worked really well together, and we got to build some connections. And this was a really good way to build connections with people regardless of the COVID circumstances where we couldn't really all be in a face-to-face setting. And then this is just the same thing that's probably been shared a few times, just the feelings of community, and it just shows kind of the numbers, and people really tended to feel a sense of community in Bropaw's class, and I think that's super awesome. Does anyone have anything they want to add before I go on? Okay. So there are a few things that I picked out that I would change. It was kind of really hard for me to think of anything, just because there's so much about this class that I loved. I would change the spotlights, I think, a little bit, just like we've talked about before. It's hard to talk about what all needs to be talked about when you're just constantly adding things. And then not all the students get to practice putting like all those things into all those concepts, like the pick rat scales. Not everyone got to practice that. And it was also just kind of hard for the students to like win at first, and they're like, oh, my name is so-and-so. This is my ed tech tool. But then at the end, you were like talking 10 or 15 minutes. And then they're super fun to like get to know people, but then at that point where you're like the last kind of cramming them all in at the very end of the semester, you're not really learning, like people's names are getting to know people. It's just kind of a, okay, we need to get this done because we started it sort thing. And then I also would change a few of the specific readings / oral exams. I didn't love the videos that were talking about what is school for in Ken Robinson's video, just because it seemed to only highlight how the system is broken and what needs to be changed, and it didn't really talk about all the good things that do go on in schools, and that kind of bothered me just a little bit. And then like what Rebecca said, that the readings don't always go along with what we're discussing in class, and I really do love the readings, but I think you could kind of like they could be aligned a little bit better with class discussions. And then group presentations. So I really liked these. I thought they were a lot of fun, and I think that they would probably give awesome feedback, but I would start the evaluating of them at the beginning of the semester so everyone gets that feedback and gets to hear what their classmates have to say. And then also like everyone gets the opportunity to watch other people's presentations and just kind of give them a grade, or like think about if it was my students, what grade would I give them? And our group never really got the feedback from our presentation. So that was kind of hard, because like we had to fill out these forms and take a little bit extra time to do them to get participation points, but like we never really got any of the data back from them. So I think just making sure all of that gets sent to students would be super beneficial also. And then of course changing how they were graded in the middle of the semester did seem a little, unfair is the wrong word to use, but just it was kind of a struggle for the students who had not yet gone, because then they're like kind of scrambling, like, oh my gosh, she just changed all these things, what do we do? And you don't get as much out of them as maybe you would have gotten from the very beginning, because you're just trying to add in all those different things. So I think the grading standards should just kind of be set from the very beginning. And then my last thing was the group presentations. Some of them were more of like a show and tell rather than a here's what you need in the presentation. And that was kind of hard because we were taking up so much class time doing them. And we were just kind of watching someone else's presentation, which is great, but we could almost do that on our own. Yep, I think that's all I have. So I'm gonna stop sharing unless you guys have any comments so Madison can go.
I think you covered a lot of bases and it's great. Can you see my screen? Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
You're good.
Okay. So, give her a second to load. Okay, so I put both of my, give me a second, I gotta fix this now. Okay, I put both of my, both things that I love and things that need to be worked on or changed on here. I personally really enjoyed the heart-to-heart moments and serious talks that we had based off of the reading and the, oh, my bad. Oh my gosh, there we go. Okay, I really liked the heart-to-heart moments and like just the serious talks because I felt like they helped a lot personally. So yeah, for like what is school for, I thought that just that discussion that we had was great. I also really liked a lot how we had talked about mental health at the beginning of the semester, because I could already feel my mental health deteriorating just because of all the stress I felt like I was going to be under soon. And like, I don't know, it was a good talk. And so, yeah. I also liked how most of the readings were not super long. If anything, they were a TED Talk video that we had to watch or a graph that we had to look at, or like just a graphic organizer or something. And that was really nice, honestly. It'll be one of the things that I want to talk about that I want to change. But yeah, but the memes in the Zoom chat were also really, yeah, the memes in the Zoom chat were a nice way to connect with Bropa. I felt more comfortable in this class out of all of my classes because of the Zoom chats and the memes. It's just felt like a more friendly environment, less serious, like it's able to be serious, but at the same time we're able to let loose and just have fun with our professor and get to know him more personally. I recommended Broadpaw to a friend who is taking his class next semester. I said that he's a great teacher and he's just a great teacher. I don't want to say he's laid back because he's definitely not laid back in that way. He gives you a lot of assignments, and I told her that, but they're good assignments that teach you a lot, and it's just a good class. So yeah, so some things that I would change the size of some of the readings so that they aren't so long, because I felt like we had lots of short readings and then all of a sudden we just had this really long reading, and I was like, I hated that. I guess it was the two really long readings that I didn't like were the Bednar talks that we had, because because I just couldn't focus. It's a long talk and I couldn't focus on that talk. It was hard. And I think that if he were to assign that reading again, maybe he should just go back and highlight specific things that he wants us to talk about, because those questions that he asks us for our reading questions, I feel like there's a specific answer sometimes, and so maybe highlighting the things in the long readings that he wants us to read over so that we can get those answers that he wants would be beneficial to us and to him. So yeah, I usually just ended up skimming it over barely. Sometimes I would literally just go and look and see if like what I was trying to look for. And then based on the data, some of people have thought that you should, or BRPA should change the way that you do oral exams. And they say that you should pick on more people or different people. And I have noticed that he does like to pick on the same people. I could name names, but I'm not going to. He likes to pick on specific people, and I think that that allows some people to slack off. Like me, I can slack off, and I don't have to answer some of the questions. And so I think maybe picking more people or different people would help. Some people also said that he should focus more on the thing that we're reading about or the question, and not other topics. Because sometimes he gets sidetracked and then we go on to a different tangent of different things that are still good to talk about, but eventually that needs to segue into the reading or the question, or just maybe say, you know, that's a great point and we'll talk about that later or something. I don't know if that makes any sense. Does anyone have anything to say? Okay.
I think you made a lot of really good points too. I understand where you're coming from with some of the readings, because there were some where I was like, oh, I would like look at the links and I'd be like, oh no.
Like the sidebar was really small and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Look for what I need to.
Mm-hmm.
So for my graph, it was what would you keep the readings the same? So I think I used the same one as Rebecca and Sue, maybe Rebecca, but yeah. And anyways, majority of people said yes and maybe, and there was like a couple, I think there was like 1 or 2 no's, maybe 1, but majority of people said yes, some people said no, and only 1 person said 1. So we can tell by the data that most people would keep the readings the same. We can also see that there are a good majority that said maybe, and I believe that is because some of the readings are too long. Like I said, I think I put myself in the maybe category. Just because of that reason. So yeah, like I said, highlight a large chunk of the paragraphs that you want us to read, that you want us to get the message out of. Like, yes, the whole talk's great, but there's also, I don't know, just something to think about. And it can be hard to get the message you want us to, or he wants us to, when there's just too much to read and a lot to get out of. Like, it's a great talk, I can get so much out of it, but there's also a lot of messages that come from that talk. So yeah. I'm done. I think we've talked about everything that we could.
Yeah, I think everyone covered a lot of the bases really well. And I think it was kind of funny how I feel like we all had pretty similar opinions with things we loved and things we would change. So I thought that was cool, but they were still different in a way. So yeah, I thought it was really fun. So I will end the recording.